See if I can get this all squared up here. Yeah. Yeah, that ain't bad. We're a little bit more prepared than last time, so it's gonna work out. I see someone's already in here. Give me a sec. Just hold on, because I have the computer down here. I'm gonna try to read the comments off that. Just give me a second. I gotta set it up. No, that's not what I want. There we go. That's what I want.
My aunt was my first mentor.
I gotta watch my own ads. Hold on.
She taught me that dignity was important above all else.
Okay, so laptop looks okay. It looks like the feed's okay. That's good. So I'm just gonna mute this. And the idea is we're gonna use, flip you guys down. We're gonna use the laptop for the comments, and then the phone for the camera. That way I don't have to touch the phone, theoretically. So this give me one couple minutes. That's all I need. Coming in loud and clear. Thanks, Lurky. I appreciate it. Just give me a grace period of about 3 minutes, just so I can set things up a little bit better. I'm just going to fine tune some things here and there. I appreciate the thanks for the 10K. It happened a lot quicker than, I honestly thought. Because I think it was only, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago that we did the last live stream. Watching this to support me, I appreciate it. YouTube barely pays us. It's quite wild. I'm going to go over a couple things about that later on. But it's peanuts. You'll be way better working at McDonald's for what they pay. It's rough. Okay, no, it looks like, okay, so our plan with the comments is going to work. That's awesome. We'll just give, another 3 minutes or so for people to kind of file in. I didn't know how to set up the live beforehand, so then people could just jump in or queue up or wait or anything like that. So just give a grace period of a couple minutes for them. But in the meantime, I can go over a couple quick things here, roughly. Give you guys one of these here. So, a couple of you guys asked, there we go. A couple of you guys asked for merch last time. We're going to go over it more or less, but I know some of you guys have seen this shirt in some of the YouTube videos. It would have been more around summertime for these. Well, we have a new upgraded model. They're not live yet, sadly. I couldn't get the display model here in time for this. Again, I thought I had more time, so they're only going to be here roughly 1st of March. Go figure. So I'm not going to open up them, but I can show you guys what we have to offer. Let's just give it another minute, and then we're going to get right into it. I have a whole list of things I want to talk about. I'm way more structured than last time. Last time was the learning time. Okay, no, it still looks like it still looks fine on the laptop end, so that's good. I'm just gonna adjust this real quick. I think that's okay. Check the sound once more. Oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I think everything's all right. So let's get right into it. Not seeing the t-shirt in Sub-Zero. No, not at all, actually. That's kind of why I put the t-shirt off my body. We don't have the display model for this t-shirt. It's way too cold. The -50, thankfully, is done. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so let me open up my notepad here. So, first off, okay, hold on. Oh, jeez, I already screwed it up. Where is the thing? There's the thing. I would definitely order your merch. We're going to get into that. Just give me, 10 minutes to go over a couple other things. But I have a whole segment on that. It's a little bit of a fiasco, but we have the ball rolling and it's almost actually ready. So, but I can show you guys a whole bunch of stuff. But either way, let me open this up here. Okay. So first off, obviously, I just want to give a big thanks to everyone that's here because most likely the people that are watching the live are the guys that watch the long format videos. Now, we do a lot of short videos now. We just started doing them, I would say October-ish, 2022. We've ran the channel since since December of 2021. And we really only saw a huge growth increase when we started doing the short videos. So a lot of the guys that watch the short videos, I'm not complaining, but a lot of the guys that watch the short videos don't watch the long format videos. And I'm kind of inferring that because there's a lot of questions that we go over in the long format videos that aren't answered, obviously, in a 15 or a 30-second short or a 60-second short. YouTube doesn't give a lot of time for those guys. So basically, I know that everyone likely that's in the live stream watches the long format stuff, and that's what I'm really trying to focus on going forward. And I just want to say thanks for the 10,000. It really doesn't change anything day to day. It just, it's just nice to see that the channel is growing and it's growing past what I thought. So going into this, let's talk about why I even made, what do I got here? Yeah, why I even made High-Low Stable Garage in the first place. So there's been a couple vehicles go through this old horse barn here, and that's what this is. A couple guys think it's an old milking barn or an old cattle barn, that kind of stuff. It might have been. This barn likely was used throughout a long period because the house is early Acadian settlers. The barn, I believe, is 30 or 40 years old. Fun fact on the barn, the guy who built the barn stiffed everyone when he built it. I guess the concrete was never paid for, the walls were never paid for, all of that. That's just word of mouth. Doesn't impact me any, but it's kind of neat to know the history on the place. But they used to run horses and a whole bunch of stuff. Let me see the comments here. Hold on, I saw that there was a couple comments that popped up. When I'm looking down, I'm just reading. That's why I'm not talking when that goes on. Depends what the long form video is. Exactly, I know what you mean. Sometimes the long format videos aren't for everyone, especially certain topics. Like there's some topics that do really good. A lot of guys like the how-to videos that I do on the bullnose or the F-Series trucks because they're way more popular of an item and it's a question that a lot of guys likely have. The international series does pretty well. A lot of guys like me screwing around and welding and cutting and a whole bunch of stuff, but I have some other videos that obviously they're a little bit more obscure. That being sometimes the rescue videos or the, what am I talking about? The revival videos, depending on the model, your make model, you might not be interested in the car, and that's okay. I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm just generally saying most people that are in this live stream right now most likely watch the long format videos, and I thank you. But I thank you nonetheless if you just like the short videos or you pick and choose or whatever. I just appreciate your support, and I can't say enough about it. You guys just rock. I'm a seriously underrated YouTuber. You see, right now, I wouldn't even really consider us YouTube per se or a YouTuber per se, just because I'm still working full-time, overtime. Right now I'm in school for my Block 3. I still have another year or so to get my license for heavy diesel mechanics. So we're still ball rolling on that gig. This is basically just a side project of mine, hoping that eventually we can build it into something that I can give you guys a lot more time into this, because obviously you have to pay to eat your sandwich at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You have to pay, or you have to have capital in order to progress things and grow things down the road. So if eventually I can do the YouTube full time, it's going to directly benefit you guys, because then I'll be able to throw a whole bunch of extra time into this and do things that I'm currently not able to do based off of, vacation, how much vacation days I get and all that kind of stuff. But that's a whole other topic. Oh, geez, we got a lot of comments coming in. Hold on. Really looked at too many other older long form videos until recently. Oh yeah, if you want to see a whole bunch of long term videos, Tractor Guy, if you want to see a whole bunch, I recommend the best one, the Galaxy 500 Revival. That one's nice. A lot of people like that. I have a soft spot for my grandfather's old Ford. It's a Revival. That one's going to come on the channel a couple more times, but that was the big budget video for last year. We actually put $680 into that video alone, not counting the purchase of the truck. So I'm not going to get my money back, but that's kind of the general theme for the long format videos. They're like the big budget Hollywood type deal. Usually set it up on a Friday night after a long day of work and sit back, relax, enjoy like a movie X thing. We actually have another one in the works right now, but it won't be done until the end of the international series. Yeah, I gotta kind of, I won't dwell too much on it because obviously that's down the road quite a lot. Shorts are my favorite. I like the shorts too. I can be quite silly in that, and I get to get under people's skin that I can on the long format videos. So it's pretty good. But we just use the short, to be honest, we use the short videos for marketing purposes. By marketing, I mean not so much capital gain because you get paid nothing on YouTube. That's just how it is. I think it comes out to be like $3 or $4 per 1,000 views. And when you're a small channel, that's not a lot of money at the end of the month. You could likely eat a McDonald's meal and still owe McDonald's some money after the whole thing. So I'm not in this for the capital, I can tell you that much for sure. But we use short videos for basically audience. We can pull in a much larger audience that way and get our name out. That's why we do the short videos. But I love doing them too. It's fun. Okay. I've been thinking of getting a Chevy Square Body as my first car. Not a bad plan at all. 350 Chevy with a cast iron 4-speed and an MP205. That's a bulletproof combo. Or if you want to go a 305 instead of the 350 up front, same combo going back, that truck will likely outlive you. Tell you the honest truth, and you could be my age and it would likely outlive you. It's just how things go. Those old square body Chevrolets are basically built like tanks. They're like the old Fords. Anything from that era, no computers, no nothing. They're quite nice. Actually, I think the Chevys have a small little computer, but you can change the distributor and then your computer list from there on in. Basically, they're bomb-proof. They're awesome. Can't go wrong with a square body Chevy or a square body Ford. Square body Dodge, the wiring's kind of screwy, but that's okay. Square body all the time, you can't go wrong. All right, last question before we keep moving on with what I want to talk about. I keep saying, Tractor Guy again, you keep saying we, who's helping you? So sometimes I actually have a couple of videos. My brother's in it sometimes. He helps with camera work on the big videos, and throughout some videos, if I need someone to hold steel or help me go get something, he's in it. My buddy Mike, he's featured on the channel a couple times in a couple of our videos. Mostly the RX-7 content, but there's a couple videos that he's also in. I have my girlfriend. She's here a lot. Mom and dad, it's a close-knit, tight group. Basically, that runs Hi-O Stable Garage, but you're looking at the main cheese. I guess you could say. Back when he knew how to build a truck. Yeah, back when they knew how to build a truck. Anything square body, they knew what was going on. Basically, 1997 and under, trucks are trucks. They're strong. Pretty much in the big three, Dodge, Ford, Chevrolet, you can't go wrong. Anything 97 under. There's a few exceptions in there, but that's like everything else. But after that, only a select few trucks, in my opinion, I would go forward and attempt to buy if I had the opportunity. After a while, there's not a lot that is in my realm of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not my realm of curiosity or what, basically something that I would want. There's nothing I would want to go out and really just sink my teeth into, But fun fact, I said this in a couple comments on this channel. Growing up, I always had a little model. It was a 2006. I would have been 8 years old in 2006, mind you. That carbon dates me that way. But I had a little die-cast model of a Harley Davidson 6.0 Power Stroke truck. It was a 4-door, long bed, but it was the Harley Davidson model. That was my dream truck for a long time. I never pulled the trigger on it, and then I quite liked the early 7.3s, like the 2001, 2002 7.3s. It's kind of the same body style, but, you know, growing a little bit older, anything 97, super tanks, can't go wrong. Used to have a Cat Eye 8.1. That was quite a truck. We actually barrel rolled that truck, and, you know, you can say a lot about a Chevrolet if you're a Ford man, or a lot about a Chevrolet if you're a Dodge man, but the way how we barrel rolled that truck, it was on a patch of black ice going into town when we were little. Me, my dad, my brother, and my sister. Well, when we were driving, we hit a patch of black ice on a turn. We called it Devil's Gulch. That was the nickname we gave it after that day, but it's no different than any other turn going up a hill, basically. But we hit that turn, hit black ice. The whole truck went sideways, and we were going, I don't know, 50 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that comes out to be in miles per hour. But when it was all sideways, all the tires instantly grabbed. And you know, like when you're going sideways, those back tires will grab. Either way it grabbed, we barrel rolled like this, or would that be like a side roll? I can't remember. But either way, we rolled like that, and then end over end, ended up inside the ditch. It was super snowy, so the truck actually didn't have a lot of damage, and the only reason I knew we barrel rolled, and we knew we barrel rolled, was because there was a guy behind us, and he immediately thought that we were all, you know, dead and deceased because of how violent the crash was. Because he saw, through his vision, he saw the truck fly up into the air, do a whole bunch of twirls, and land inside the ditch. Well, basically at the end of the day, it landed in the snowbank, and the only thing that broke on the truck, the Cat Eye, was the rear window, a side window. It had a tree that rammed itself about 6 feet up the tailpipe. That was interesting. And it blew out the 2 tires that instantly grabbed. Other than that, an fender was all tweaked up. But we knew we barrel rolled because there was a huge dent on the top of the roof. And he said that he saw the whole entire truck do this, and that, wild. This would have been, you know, early 2004 or 2005. I was quite young when this happened. But either way, when they put that on the tow truck, you had a gigantic tree sticking out of it about that long. Down the road it went. But that 8.1 was some tough of a truck. We ended up selling it, and most 8.1s and old diesels and stuff like that, they go up north, down or up into Quebec, up in the oil fields and all that stuff. So who knows? But finding an 8.1 Chevrolet is an awful hard ticket to do nowadays. They're like unobtainium now. It's quite wild. I haven't seen an 8.1, I want to say, since 2010. So it's been a while. And that's also including the vans. I never seen an 8.1 in the vans or the trucks. Something to think about. Something to think about. Last big block Chevy, I think, actually. What do we got? Glad to know we're about the same age, give or take. Yeah, no, it's, I'm right now 24, going on 25. 25 soon. So we're growing into the hobby, I guess you could say. Worst crash I was in was in a Pontiac Sunfire. I'm surprised you survived in a Pontiac Sunfire. Those whole things are made out of plastic. So, toddler. I was a toddler and went through underneath the Ford Dually and knocked out my mother. Oof. That is a pretty bad wreck, to tell you the honest truth. That's quite wild, to tell you the honest truth. But no, those Sunfires, they are indestructible little cars because they'll never rot here and stuff. Most of the fenders and stuff are made out of ABS plastic. But that's wild. Normally when you hit, especially I'm assuming the Dodge, or the Dually, sorry, not Dodge, but the Dually had a Reese hitch on it. if you hit that in a Sunfire, normally you're going all the way underneath the truck. So, whew, rough go. What do we got? Evan Blix, thanks for subscribing. I'm glad you're here too. It's gonna be a wild ride, and I'm gonna have to stop reading the comments. I'll read another one or two, but we have a lot to go over. So hold on. What do we got? Buddy, mine has a 2000 Chevy 25. Yeah, ours was a 2500 Cat Eye 4-door long bed. It was quite a nice truck. So the only option it was missing to be one of the biggest trucks on the road was dually, of course, but ours was quite nice. The car was shot, but my father's drove it 15 miles home. Yes, sir. I'm surprised it made it there, considering the rad and all that stuff would have been, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, either way. Anyway, let's jump right into it. So, why did I make Hi-Ho Stable Garage? Basically, the reason I made Hi-Ho Stable was, obviously, it's a horse stable, so that's kind of where the name came from. Horse stable, Hi-Ho Stable. We're using the horses for their horsepower. I don't know. That's kind of what me and my brother thought of when we came up with the name. He came up with the design, the horse. That's actually the early one. Yes, that's the early design, I think. Hold on. I think the shirt has the new one. Yes. Okay, so take a look at this. That's the... No, yeah. Okay, that's the old one right there. See how the horse doesn't have the H or anything? And then that was the new design that we made just a while back. It would be somewhere around August, something like that. Either way, we made Hi-Ho Stable Garage. That's why the name is there, because it's an old horse barn. But why I actually made Hi-Ho Stable Garage is, for the longest time, I was in here fiddling with cars, basically. When we built the barn, or when we took off the old hayloft piece, and we built the barn to what we needed it to be, we cleaned it all out of the hay and all that stuff, I started basically working on my old blue diesel, and we had a Dodge Colt here. That was a 1979 Dodge Colt. It had a 4-cylinder in it, 4-speed manual transmission, solid rear end. It's quite a nice little car. I put an 8.8 in it, an 8.8 Ford rear end, 31 spline out of a Ford Explorer. It was actually a 4.62 valve and a T45 transmission. It was basically done, but I kept changing my mind on certain things, and at the end of it, I sold it to a buddy, I sold it to a younger fella that wanted to finish where I took off and have it for his car when he's, going into prom. He wanted it as a prom ride. I also built, what else did I build? I built the Explorer here, a lot of the components here. My 1994 Ford Explorer, it had a 4-inch lift, 31 spline axles. It had a locker up front. It was on 35-inch tires. It had a manual swap in it, a whole bunch of stuff. And then I started to build my F-150. That used to be fun fact, a lot of guys give me flack for calling it a 1996, the one at the red box. It is a 1996. The reason why, if you look at the cab lines, the cab is the same, but the doors, you can always tell a 96 from an 80s because of the doors. The wing windows are slightly different on the 96 than the older ones. The door sills are slightly different, but the big giveaway is the big plastic mirrors, the kind of car mirrors, I should say, on the 96 F-150. So we basically just did a bullnose swap. We did an 80s long bed swap on it. We basically got rid of all the old 96 parts on the truck and then put the big block, all that stuff. But it was only halfway through that build that we actually started Hi-Ho Stable Garage. And that's because a buddy said, you do so much in this barn. Screwing around, having fun. We used to be a lot more active on Instagram because we didn't do the YouTube. And I'll get into that in a second anyway. But basically, he said, we do so much screwing around. we have to document it because some of the stuff that we do and some of the stuff that we see is quite interesting. Like we made homemade ITBs for the Dodge Colt. That's basically a homemade individual throttle body system for the Dodge Colt. We made a homemade intake, a whole bunch of stuff. We were screwing around with quite a lot of inventive things. But that's all pre-channel. That was here. You can see a lot of it on the Instagram, but not so much here. And the Instagram's been dead for a while. I haven't posted on it in like pretty much since I got the YouTube channel. But we're going to change that down the road. But that's why we made Ohio Stable Garage. Kind of the document the shenanigans and the stuff that we do here and we build and all the things going forward and the things that we enjoy. Just document that so then hopefully when I get old, or I have a son or a daughter, something like that, they can watch Dad's old videos of screwing around and having fun. And hopefully someday when I can give them one of the rides that I've built, they can see the complete build process. And that's why we're going so in-depth on the International. I want to be able to look back and see whatever we built and all that stuff. But that's why we made Ohio Stable Garage. All right, so So, what we're going to do, when I started this YouTube channel, I kind of talked this early on before a whole bunch of people came in, but when we started Ohio Stable Garage, I didn't think that the timeline was going to be so fast. So, we basically only really started it December, late December after Christmas of 2021, so basically 2022. Kept moving forward, and we wanted to be monetized as soon as possible to see a little bit of income for the amount of work that we put in. Because it's quite a lot of work screwing around at the old car filming, then going straight to edit. Some days is like, 12 o'clock at night and have to work and go to school and a whole bunch of stuff the next day. But either way, that's something I chose. But we never expected to grow to 10,000 in just a little over a year. I guess it would be technically like a year and 2 months if you counted 2021 and January of 2023. So we're going at a good click, and that's half the reason why the merch isn't quite there yet, but I'll show you guys the merch in just a second anyway. But that's basically what we were going for, and that's kind of how things snowballed. A little out of control. It's good to grow, but we never expected it to grow this fast. So again, thanks guys. I highly appreciate it. And the bigger we are, the more opportunities we'll get as a channel to do things that you guys want. So right now, I'm primarily building the International, as I said, for me. So down the line, my son or daughter can see how Dad built that and whole bunch of cool stuff, or I can show people, oh yeah, this is what I built, this is kind of neat, or at a car show, whatever, right? It's primarily my stuff. But down the road, if we get big enough that I can afford to screw around with a car that you guys want to see, or go to an event that you guys want to document, or whatever, we can do that. And that only comes with the growth of the channel. So it will benefit us all both. It will benefit us mutually going forward. But either way, it's going to be a wild ride. And I thank you guys for the opportunity for how it's all going together. So we'll leave it at that. We'll keep going down the list. We're almost at the next question time, but I'm trying to buzz through a couple of these. So we're not going to be here till 2 o'clock at night. So just give me a second here. So the next milestone, we're going to do more lives going forward, but the next milestone for a video kind of like this, breakdown of how everything's going and what we're thinking about doing, and because we're going to go a little bit more in depth at channel stuff during this live, and a little bit more in depth on international stuff during this live than we normally would. So the next one of these style of lives will be at 50,000. I think that's a healthy number, so we don't bore a whole bunch of people going forward. Either way. So, we got that out of the way. I can jump to questions before we get bombarded by too many. So, give me a sec. I'm going to look at the computer here. I'm far behind in the comments. Give me a second here. I'm going to try to read every last one. That's where the 8.1 was. Keep getting him off topic. He's not going to get a break tonight. If I get to my bottom of my list, live's done. The list is quite long, to tell you honest truth. But we're here until I say my piece, so don't worry about that. There's lots of things to go, and I'm going to try to answer everyone's question as we go, so don't worry about that. Truck was scratchless. That must be the 8.1 you were talking about. Mom was in a violent car crash 15 years and she went half blind and got a whole bunch of glasses on her eye. Some dude in a 7-Up bottle and shattered it. She threw a 7-Up bottle? Or they threw a bottle at her? And it shattered her windshield. That's wild. See, I never understood why people would do that, even in anger and stuff like that, damage someone else's property, especially nowadays, because there's so much extra flack that you can get just by saying a mean word to someone. You can almost go to prison for that kind of stuff, especially up here in Canada. So I've always wondered why it was worth the time for someone to do that, but that's wild that she got blinded in one eye. That's crazy. It's funny how things go some days, you know what I mean? I was gonna say something, but I can't. Oh, now I remember what it was. Not the same thing, but if you guys know Polaris tractor, you know basically the quality of a Polaris tractor. It's not very high. But growing up, it was kind of around the same era where we had the 50 some odd cars inside the driveway. We had old Internationals, old Fords, Chevelles, El Caminos, I think we had a Bronco, can't remember. Whole bunch of stuff, like it was all over the place. But my dad also collected old Polaris tractors. So we had a whole range of Polaris tractor, 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, you name it. One day, the Polaris tractor was all packed up full of mud in the PTO port. Basically, he was trying to hook up the bush hog to it, but the PTO shaft wouldn't go in and was all completely caked in mud. So there was a buddy that lived just down the road, a younger fella. He would have been a little bit younger than me, but he was going into his heavy equipment, learning that. So we helped my dad out by welding the tractors up and stuff, because I was, 5 or 6 years old at the time. So he drove that down and he was watching me, so we brought me there for babysitting purposes, But either way, so the apprentice guy, he was cleaning out the PTO port of all this caked in garbage, basically. And he had to do some welding, I think. It's been a long time ago, but he had to do some welding in there as well. And because of how it's made, it's like a cast iron type deal. You have to heat the cast iron and then use like a nickel rod. Shh. The Waffle House has found its new host. I saw the video on where that came from. I couldn't figure out where that all came from for the longest time, because there's been 4 or 5 fellas that have commented that on a couple different videos. I watched the video on it. It was quite funny at the end of the day. I think I can't remember what her name was. The Waffle House girl that grabbed the chair. But either way, it's off topic. You guys likely don't know what I'm talking about. But either way, back to the story about the tractor. Because it was cast, you had to heat the cast up and then weld it with like a high nickel content rod kind of deal. So he was heating it up, but for some reason, from what I can remember, he needed to blow out the dirt inside the PTO port, and for some reason he used the compressed oxygen only on the torch, because if you hold down the handle on a normal torch setup, you have your high powered jet of oxygen directly in the center and your map on the corners. Well, basically he was using the high pressure oxygen on the inside, and that was after heating it up. Well, eventually it just got so filled with oxygen, there must have been something combustible, because grease, little known fact, if you put direct oxygen on grease, it will explode and catch fire. It's quite wild. that might have also been what happened. But either way, a gigantic fireball came out, knocked me over because I was only, my hand's about, for reference, 3.5 feet off the ground. It was only about that high. Knocked me on the ground. Buddy was right up close to it. No safety goggles or on or anything. All of his hair was gone. Eyebrows were gone. Beard and everything was gone. But the reason I'm bringing the story up is you said your mom got a whole bunch of glass shards in her eye. Buddy got all that dirt that was stuck in there directly into both of his eyes. Completely embedded. Guy almost went blind. He had to go to the doctor and they had to pull out shards of whatever was packed in there. Sticks, steel, a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, eyes they're a damageable item, and it really sucks when things go. There's a fella that he started a channel when I started a channel. He might even be in here. I don't know how to check who's in here. But Blind Guy's Garage, he's a fella that works primarily on engines and stuff like that. But he is almost blind. He can see really up close. But he's still doing the exact same stuff I am. Not so much the bodywork style, but he's building 454s and LSs and a whole bunch of stuff. So sometimes when you lose your vision, you can still work pretty good. Yeah. Either way, it's unfortunate that stuff like that happens, but it happens sometimes. All right, back to our roadmap here. Or no, sorry, we were on comments. I got to do the comments first. Hold on. Buddy in high school had this old square body single cab Jeep truck. You talking like a Gladiator or the older Jeep trucks? Hard to say. So fun to drive around. Chevy, Dodge, Ford guys can all team up to hate on the Jeeps though. Fun fact, I've always wanted a TJ or a CJ7. I've always wanted one. I quite like the old Gladiators, and actually before we got the International, there was an old, I think it was a Comanche. They kind of look like a train, like an old school steam engine up front. I'll see if I can, let me pull up a picture here. Hold on, you guys are gonna like it. Old Jeep truck. Ah, there we are. That's exactly what I want. So this guy right here. Can you see that? Can I flip this actually? Oh, I can. Look at that. Huh. So that guy right there was almost the project before the International. The only reason, because I was pretty much after anything old and cool when we were going to do the resto mod for this kind of style. The only reason I didn't touch it is it used to be an old milk truck type thing. It had like a delivery bed box style thing on the back. So when they were using the truck, they cut the back of the cab clean off, right? Basically, if you just took a hot knife right across. And the back cab piece was on it, and there must have been like a rubber or a felt that combined the two for like air tightness. So there was no back of the cab, but we almost had one of those trucks instead of the International 112 out there in the barn. So either way, I got nothing against Jeeps. I've always kind of wanted one. We almost had a Jeep anyway. Go back to the comments. I gotta try to catch up on your comments or else I'm gonna get lost here. Oh geez, what did I do? I broke it. Oh, nope, it's fine. I just gotta watch ads again. Somehow I managed to get past the whole entire thing. All right. What does the VIN say it is? On the International? The International, it says L or R. It's something 112. I'll have to go look. I had a picture of it somewhere. But it's the factory VIN, so we're all good. I got the clean paperwork. That's why I paid what I did for the cab, and that's why we got what we got. So can't go wrong there. But the Jeep the Jeep had paperwork. It was an old government vehicle. So they had the paperwork, and it was in a salvage yard. I think it was a salvage yard. Either way, it never transpired the Jeep, so there's no sense dwelling on it. But down the road, we might even have a Jeep of some kind. Who knows? Kids are going to treasure this channel Yeah, I think so. They'll be able to see dad screwing around because growing up, my dad, he's like, my dad's close to 63. Hold on. 63, yeah, 63 this year. So basically, all the old videos that he had growing up, those are few and far between. There wasn't a lot of camera action back then, so it's all old scrapbook photos. So when they grow up, they'll be able to watch old dad screwing around inside a barn, having a good old time, and hopefully seeing the world and having, experience in life and working on old rigs. I think they'll enjoy that. Who knows, though? It's all speculative, but you can only do what you can do. Definitely would like to see more of your 1985 250. A lot of people like that 250. A lot of people like that 250. And don't worry, there's actually, at the end of October of 2023, the 250 out there is coming in for a special project. We're going to leave it at that because it might ruffle some tail feathers. But I've had that truck now. I'm going to loosely say restored. Basically, it was rotten to the ground. So we put cab corners and rockers and a whole bunch of stuff into it. Got it back up and running. Engine wasn't running, all that stuff. But it was sitting in some guy's field for the longest time. We got that going. And I've had that now for 5 years, I think. I've gotten quite a lot of miles on it. I likely put maybe 50 or 60,000 kilometers on it. It's quite a lot for an old rig like that. Especially when most of the years were on 36x9 military tires, just humming down the highway with a welded diff out back. Yes, sir, that was it was a long 60,000 kilometers, I can tell you that much for sure. But I quite like the truck too, and I don't blame you for liking it. They're quite a handsome rig, and that basically, in my opinion, is one of the best setups you can get. I'm not a huge fan of the extended cab, but 6.9 IDI diesel up front with a 4-speed cast iron transmission. It's a T19, has dual PTO ports. Then it goes to your transfer case. It's not an MP205 on that. It's not an MP208. It's a chain drive transfer case, shift on the fly. But either way, it's there. Then it's a long bed, and it has manual lockout hubs on both front and back. And it actually has factory skid plates, heavy-duty walled skid plates on the gas tanks. Something I've never really seen on these old trucks. But it's spec'd out quite nice. It's just a base model. But if I was going to spec out a good everyman's work truck that was super dependable, that's likely how I would spec it out, short of a 300 i6, but that has way more power than the 300 i6 my grandfather's truck has. So apples to oranges, but if I don't think I could find another truck like that for what I want going down the road, especially at these prices nowadays. They're quite wild, to tell you the honest truth. Definitely see. Oh, no, I already watched that. Waffle House has found its new host. Yep, we already talked about that. I watched the video. If you guys want to see the video on that and what he's talking about, there's a guy, basically to sum it up, there's a guy that said to all of his followers, this comment, Waffle House, you're the new Waffle House person, whatever. And they're supposed to comment it and then delete it. I don't know. This is something fun to do. Best friend's father had a 420 4x4 when he was a kid and tried to start it when it was in gear. Fired it and drove through the barn and flipped over and landed on its... Oh, jeez. That's quite wild, to tell you the honest truth. That's quite a wild occurrence of events. When I was growing up, see, I never screwed up that bad. But when I was growing up, I had the bike, right? And just a normal pedal bike. It had steel on the handlebars, so if you knocked into things, scratched them up, all that stuff. Well, I wanted to use this pedal bike, so I went down to my dad's big compressor, started it up. Either way, I was pumping up the tire, and somehow I managed to cut the air line. So I had to go tell my dad. I felt really bad. He was obviously a little mad, whatever. Sent me on my way. So I pedaled, now that my tire is pumped up, because there was enough to work on this. Now that my tire is pumped up, I scooted up the driveway. Left my bike right next to the Pontiac Trans Am. It's the Trans Am in some of the videos. That's one of the first of the 50 cars that we used to have. I put my bike right next to it, walked down the hill to play with a ball or the dog or something, and then I heard crash, and I looked behind, and the whole bike fell on the car and scratched the paint all the way down. Well, then I had to go tell my dad that I just scratched up the Trans Am. That's never a good thing. You know what I mean? So sometimes screw-ups happen, and sometimes they happen back to back to back. So, yeah, no, it's unfortunate chain of events, obviously, that happened on that one. Love the custom truck build. Keep at it. Thanks, Ford Mustang fan. I appreciate it. I quite like it too, telling you the honest truth. It's really coming together, especially from the bucket of spare parts that we bought it at. Quite good. International was the right choice. I'm betting you're talking about when I was talking about the Jeep. I think so too. When it comes to the old trucks, I think the International is quite a handsome little rig, tell you the truth. Ours isn't so little anymore because it's super wide. But it kind of gives me like a 1950s Ford type vibe, like a cute little truck. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of trucks that do that for me. Like the 57 Chevy looks really good. But it's more of like a mean appearance. Like a black, if you get an all black 57 Chevy truck with chrome grille, chrome wherever you need the chrome basically, but it's all jet gloss black, that's a mean looking truck, to tell you the truth. Wouldn't want to tangle with that sucker. 96 Ford VIN, but the no, the 90s, yeah, the VIN on the Ford, the 96 is a 96 VIN. So it's registered as a 96. It is a 96 in the eyes of the government. It's basically just 90s with 80s stuff tacked on, to tell you the honest truth. So 1985 inspired truck. I can't even say it's 1985 because there's 4 or 5 trucks in that truck to make it that truck. So the grills are different. The fenders are slightly different than the box. The box is different, but at least they're all 80s. They're all 1980 to 1986 bullnose parts, short of the cab. Mine's an extended cab, long bed, 4x4 F-150 with a 406 C6 and a 208. Yes, sir. Bulletproof combo. Can't go wrong with that. That's a strong truck. Make sure you hold on to it because they're coming few and far between now, especially for the price. If you bought an old square body truck 3 years ago, the price is almost doubled nowadays, and it's wild. Granted, if a rod-in truck is still a rod-in truck at the end of the day, so you can still pick them up for rod-in prices, but if they're worth half a damn, they're going for a pretty penny now. It's quite wild, especially here on the East Coast. Maybe not out west, but here they're worth some money now, and it's kind of unfortunate. It's fortunate for me because I own a couple of them, but it's unfortunate for anyone that's trying to get into them. Especially the square body Chevys. They went up in price quite a lot. Sounds like Johnny Cash's Cadillac, one piece at a time. Pretty much. That's most of my vehicles, because even my old blue truck has a couple trucks in it now. The 96 has way more than a couple trucks. Even the International has a few trucks into it. So when you think of the RX-7, it has a couple cars in it. A Mustang RX-7, and then another RX-7. It has like an RX-7 FD, FC. It's been a while since I looked at the classification. GXL LE, something like that. Either way, the red one and there is a base model, but we used to have the high trim model here too. Both for rotary, both for manual 5-speeds. Basically, we pick and chose parts off that we wanted, threw it on that car, out the door it went. But there's 3 or 4 cars into that. Square body Chevrolet has a ton of parts on it, all over the place, and the 87 has a ton of parts on it as well. It's a 1985, 96, 86, 95. Exactly. You get the point. It's all over the place. I paid $3,500 for my 85 250. 304 HO. 8-foot Fisher plow. It's got. Yes, sir. You can't go wrong with that, Ricky. I used to have a 351 Windsor truck. It had 331,000 clicks on it, but it was an ex-government truck, single cab, long bed, 351 Windsor. automatic 2-wheel drive, and it had the semi-float rear, so it didn't have the hubs on the back. But that truck was solid all day long, and I think I bought it for $3,000 and I sold it for 28. I should have really sold it for more because I owned it for a year, but I didn't put much parts into it either. Either way, it's the one that got away. If I knew what I knew now mechanically, I would have never sold it. But I sold it because I wanted a diesel and I wanted a 4-wheel drive. Knowing what I know now, I would have just converted that one because it was a southern truck. And it was only, I bought it in Nova Scotia, in Truro. You obviously know where that is. But I bought it in Truro and then drove it back home. But I guess it came from North Carolina 2 years before and had only spent one winter in Nova Scotia. So the buyer said. So whatever. You can only take it with a grain of salt, but it definitely looked the part. I can tell you that for sure. All right, so that's enough questions for a second. Let's keep going. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. Now that we've done introductions and a whole bunch of stuff, let's talk about why we're actually doing this live stream. So video, oh geez, been talking for a long time. My tongue's over here and my mind's over here. But video scheduling for the next 2 weeks. Basically, I have 2 weeks left of my exams. Or 2 weeks left of school and then it's exams. So it's going to be a busy 2 weeks going forward. So what I'm thinking right now, the general plan moving forward with the long format uploads, we're not going to count short videos because I try to do a couple of those a day, at least one a day. But long format videos, if you guys haven't noticed, have been Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And we've been pretty ritualistic about that for a long time. Off and on, we might lose a day here, but pretty much Monday, Wednesday, Fridays have been our upload dates. Oh, excuse me. Moving forward, for the next 2 weeks, we might only have one video this week and then one video the next week. We'll see. It's going to be a really busy 2 weeks because of the exams, and I got to study on times where I normally be in the barn working. So one has to give, at least for these first 2 weeks. So, but moving forward, we're going to actually eliminate the Wednesday video altogether because I've noticed on the last couple of videos, they've only, after time lapses have been cut down and all that stuff, and the videos, the music's added and all that stuff, it usually only comes out to be like 13 minutes long. I want to extend the length of the video so you guys have a little bit more meat to sink your teeth into when you watch the video. So it's not just, it doesn't feel like a cheap little short video type deal. So I want to give you guys a little bit more content that way. So we're going to basically span out the Wednesday video, and hopefully the idea is the Wednesday video can be split and it can go in between the two, or it's going to help me greatly on just working on stuff because the editing that I have to do for the Wednesday videos, I can actually put into shop time instead. So we can do that, and either way, we should be able to accomplish a little bit more on the international with 2 videos a week, Monday and Friday, going forward. But the next 2 weeks coming up, it's going to be a little hit and miss just because of the exams, but I should have some stuff prepared for you. So I'm just saying, if you expect a video on Friday, because we should have one for Monday anyway tomorrow, but if you expect a video on Friday, it might not be there, vice versa for the next week. But then after that, the schedule should be Monday and Friday going forward for long format videos, not short videos. Either way. That's kind of how we're going to try it, see if we like it. It should increase each video by about 5-6 minutes along a piece. We're not going to be in the 40-minute range by no means, but it should crest into the 20-minute range. We've had a few videos crest into there. And it seems like they're more well received than the 14-minute videos, so that's what we're going to try. We're going to try to get them both in the 20 minutes, but I'm not going to artificially inflate them just by slowing down the time lapse and stuff. I'm not going to do that to you guys. So we're just going to try cutting out the Wednesday video for now and moving them forward. And that's kind of why I'm saying right now we have limited time to invest in the YouTube channel, sadly, because full-time student right now, and then like full-time plus overtime normally at work. Eventually, when we can do this full time, we can be, dishing out a lot of content and a lot more quality content because I can invest a little bit more time into it. But that's down the road anyway. But I'm just saying for the time being, Mondays and Fridays, next 2 weeks, hit and miss, but there should be at least one video a week for long format anyway. All right, so that basically tells that about that. And sorry, we're gonna try the Monday and Friday videos on the international series. So let me stir this up a little bit more and make it more confusing. If I have, let's say, an example that I go to an event, most likely that event will be uploaded that day. It's just kind of how YouTube works. For some reason, when people go to events, they want to see that event happen online on the same day. After that, it's almost not worth recording or documenting the event unless something drastic happens. So say I go to an event, it's on like a Tuesday, I'm obviously going to upload that likely on the Wednesday the next day, or even that Tuesday night. That shouldn't affect the Monday and the Friday videos. So in theory, we could have 5 videos that week, but that's different topics. What the Monday, excuse me, talking so much. The Monday and Friday videos, they should be international related. Because the main reason why I can't keep the Wednesday in there is because I need the shop time. And the shop time is like building stuff. That stuff you can't build the truck in 15 minutes or less. So just the tailgate alone today, I logged maybe 4 or 5 hours in, and it's only a couple panels that we managed to weld in. So it's quite a lot of work, but I think that way I can gain a little bit of extra shop time and fluff up the other 2 videos and keep them enjoyable, keep you guys engaged. I think you guys are going to like it. It's a win-win for everyone going down the road. So Monday, Friday, international videos moving forward. Next 2 weeks, if it's a little sparse on the long videos, that's why. All right, so we already talked about, video formats, shop. Okay, yeah, so what I'm thinking for the channel going forward is the way that the videos are going to be kind of structured. So what I've talked to my brother about is during the winter seems to be a great time to build vehicles, because obviously in the Canadian North, there's not a lot of car stuff going on in the wintertime. And that's like car meets, car shows, racing, all that stuff. Even the street racing that I have occasionally engaged in Mexico, of course. But even that kind of stuff that I want to document, there's nothing really going on in the wintertime. And I don't want to stand out -30 below, freezing, watching someone slide around on ice in their Honda Civic with the wheels locked up in the back. You can watch that all the live long day on YouTube. I would rather watch like the swapped engines and all that stuff, having a good time, the JDM cars, all that stuff, the fun things that only come out in the summer. So what I'm getting at is shop time seems to be a lot of winter time, late or early spring and late fall. That's where our shop builds should be. That's kind of what you'll expect in the winter. But in the summer, I'm hoping to do a lot less shop time. We'll still have the shop video here and there, but as long as the build series is done and the vehicle is out and we can start enjoying it, well, going forward, see that glitched out. Oh, no, it's all good. But going forward, the summer videos should be basically enjoying the vehicle outside, running and driving, going to events, all that stuff. So shop videos might not be there, if you know what I mean, even though we have more builds to do, because we definitely have a lot of builds. We got the Mazda, we got my grandfather's truck, Old Blue, a whole bunch of stuff coming down the pipeline, Galaxy 500, all that stuff. But I think we're going to focus more on those during the slow months in the winter and enjoy the cars out in the summer. All right, so we'll go past that because we're already done that. Yep, we're done. Vlogs, revivals, and collabs. Okay, so vlog style videos, we're going to try a couple of them in the summertime. Now, by vlog, I mean, because right now we do a lot of build videos, obviously, so wintertime, as I just stated. But by a vlog, I guess picture like 909 Speedco, or who's another one? Like a Cletus McFarlane type deal. He does more of like a vlog style type of video. I'm not saying like, oh, watch me drink coffee and then, oh, watch me get out of bed and put a shirt on. I'm not talking to like the day in the life videos. I'm talking about like, say I want to go to Fredericton. It's the capital of New Brunswick. Say I want to go to Fredericton, enjoy, I don't know, a meal or something. But we're going to take the car. So we would drive up. I would show driving up. We would show what we're doing in Fredericton and driving back. That's just an easy way of putting it. But we're going to try a few of those videos in the summer. See how they go. If they don't go, then we won't do them anymore. But during the summer, we're going to experiment a lot with a different type of videos, or a lot of different genres, basically, and go with that, as long as they're automotive related. Revivals, we already have a couple planned for the summer. I think there's 2 right now, 2 revivals. They're going to be pretty big, telling you the honest truth. It's going to be up there with my grandfather's truck, like go there, camp, 3-day ordeal. It'll be like an hour and some long at the end of the end cut for the video. So like another sit down, relax, enjoy Friday, drink a beer, that kind of stuff. But revivals going forward, I talked about this on the last live. I had to put a lot of capital up to do these revivals. So right now I can only do so many per year. So right now we're only scheduled for 2. So bear that in mind. And then collabs. There's been a couple guys asking about, hey, are you next to DD Speed Shop? Hey, do you live beside, or hey, D-Boss Garage lives in Canada. Do you live by D-Boss Garage? There's been a couple guys wondering that. Zip ties and bias plies. Yes, we're in Canada. And yes, D-Boss Garage, Zip ties and bias plies, DD Speed Shop, DD Speed Shop, DD Speed Shop, DD Speed Shop, DD Speed Shop. They are also in Canada, but they're all basically Ontario West. We are we're basically Ontario East. Or based off our budget, we're more like the Atlantic provinces. New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia. You can include Newfoundland and Labrador, but not so much for the Atlantic. A little bit of Quebec. But either way, we're more so over here. So the collabs that we can do are going to be more local based, so Atlantic based. There are a couple YouTube channels that I've reached out to. I'm not going to name any names because obviously I never asked them to talk about them in the live, but I have talked to them before about doing collabs for you guys. There's a guy building an international. There's guys that build hot rods down in Nova Scotia. A whole bunch of stuff like that. So it will be likely smaller YouTube names that you might not know about, but you might also as well. But I'm not going to say any of their names just because I never asked if I could bring them up in the live. I should have. Either way, but there are collabs planned, but it won't be with the big guys unless, like, obviously we're going to an event or something and I can meet up with them there. Because obviously I don't have any connection with those guys either. Like, just because I'm doing the YouTube doesn't mean that I have a direct message into them. I don't know them either. We're strangers, right? So either way, there's a couple guys that I've talked to, local-ish Atlantic provinces. We'll likely get together at some point in the summer. But yes, there will be collabs, just not with the big channels. Not yet, anyway. All right, so meetups for the summer. There's been a few guys asking about meetups for the summer. Now, because we're in Canada, we won't be doing any in the States. I can say that right now, sadly. I know that really sucks because that cuts out about 85% of our subscriber base, because most of you guys are in the States. And I'm looking out for you guys anyway down the line. You'll see why. But it's basically only playing with the 5 or 6% that are Canadian, and then even less of that is in the Atlantics. But we do plan on doing at least one meetup during the summer if there's enough interest. And by meetup, it will likely just be Tim Hortons parking lot, that kind of stuff. But I'll bring some stuff like merch and a whole bunch of stuff. We'll have a good time, have a coffee, have maybe a pizza pie. I don't know. I've never done this before, but we can do a whole bunch of stuff. Bring your car, just have a good time, hang out, drink a coffee. We plan on doing something kind of like that down the road this summer, but we'll see. It's just how things go. We'll get to it. All right, I'm going to jump on the comments again, but we made it through a good portion of our list so far, but we'll catch up on the comments because I think you guys have said a couple things that I haven't caught up on time. Oh, geez, yeah, there's a couple things. Playing with horsepower. He's an old timer with a small channel. Cool big block content. No, I've never heard of playing with horsepower, but what I will do after the stream's done, I'll look him up. If he's local enough, I'll reach out to him. Because again, we're on a budget because we're using the budget that we have basically to build the cars and do revivals and extend our gear for filming and stuff. So the traveling type collabs aren't really on the horizon right now, but local, I can drive to there. We can do that. I can see that we can do that. So I'll look them up after the live and we'll go from there. Am I going to make whistling diesel type content? I don't have the funds for that type of content, if you know what I mean. But one thing I do plan on doing is 3 or 4 videos, maybe 1 or 2, whatever. Because being mechanically inclined helps you, any project you build, no matter what it is, you can rebuild it, even if you hurt it. So say I blow up the transmission in the international truck, I can source another transmission, put it in, or I can rebuild the transmission, put it in. If I blow up the engine, rear end, that kind of stuff. It's just a little bit of work, a little bit of junkyard parts or new parts, whatever, throw them back in. As for taking the international truck at the end of the day and durability testing it and by smashing it into a whole bunch of fence posts and then running it into a culvert and then squishing it with an excavator, not so much. It's not very high on the list. But what I do plan on doing with that is there's been a lot of guys saying that truck right there can't do any work, that their little Toyota Corolla or their... When I brought up Toyota Prius, it really peeved off a lot of Prius drivers. I can tell you that for sure. But when I brought up the Toyota Prius saying that my truck could tow and had more payload than their Prius, it really ruffled up their feathers, saying that it can't tow, it can't haul, none of that. So I plan on doing just a small little mini series on working the truck actually when it's done. So I mean, hooking it up to a trailer, seeing how it tows. Plan on putting one round bale in the back and going to a car show with a round bale in the back. A round bale is usually around 1,700 pounds, depending on the time it was cut and how long it's been sitting. Moisture content, right? But they can be quite heavy. Plan on putting a round bale in the back. Plan on doing a small amount of work with it because the bed's super strong. Before we put the wood in it, like the wood laminate, we might do some wood with the car. But basically, I want to show that it can do work, but it's not a work truck. It's just more to get under people's skin. Just a little mini series. So it's kind of like that, but we're not purposely going to try to hurt the truck, if you know what I mean. Destroying my pristine international resto mod. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's not very pristine. I can tell you that for sure. Yeah. Oh no, I put a dent in it. Whatever will I do? I'll get out my sledgehammer again and beat it to death. Yeah. Oh, yes, sir. That's funny. Some people, it's a truck. It's just going to do truck stuff a little faster. Exactly. Yeah, it should. It's still a truck at the end of the day. In my opinion, even lowered, right? Even lowered on this truck, it should actually outperform the original 1954 International because it had the straight six in it and a manual 4-speed, but it didn't have a lot of horsepower. Excuse me. Its payload wasn't the same, all that stuff. So it should outperform the old vehicle. And we'll do a little bit of testing there. We'll do a little bit of testing on the payload of the old International, the 0 to 60 times, all that stuff, and compare it to ours and see if we basically gained an advantage in every regard. Fuel mileage, payload, 0 to 60, all that stuff, braking distance. We plan on enjoying the truck and doing a lot of content related to the truck once it's built. So once it's built, it's not just going to go away. There's some YouTube channels, I'm not going to name any names, but I enjoy watching them, but as soon as they finish their build, you don't see a lot of the vehicle anymore. Like, it's not, let's go out and enjoy, go get coffee with this car that we just spent a whole year building. Once it's built, they're already on to the next vehicle built, or they give that vehicle away. Half the reason I'm watching the vehicle get built, I want to see it in its glory. I want to see it have fun, all that stuff. So if they don't show that, I'm not going to say I feel cheated, but I don't want you guys to not see the end result. Basically, you're going to have so much content of that little truck when it's driving around that you might get sick of the thing. That's what I want you guys to have. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of that little truck going around anyway. Do I use Twitter? No. I do not have social medias. If I have YouTube, that's about it, pretty much. Going down the line, when we have a little bit more time on our plate, we will be bringing back the Instagram, but for the time being, there is a High House Stable Garage Instagram, and it is me. It's not a fake account, but I haven't posted on it in the last 2 years or so. So even if you look it up, you're not going to see anything. I'll say when we bring it back, and then you guys will be able to see pictures and all that stuff. But for the time being, it's not coming down the pipeline. Thanks, Thomas. I appreciate the thanks, or I appreciate you coming in and, oh geez, I've been talking for so long. Again, my tongue's over here and my mind's over there. But I appreciate it for the 10,000. It's really coming along. I asked about plumbing vehicle advice last live stream. My friend liked your minivan suggestion, but he has decided to buy a full-size van, a Chevy Express. That's usually how the vans go. Again, I think the minivan would have been a great idea, but you can't go wrong with a white panel van for plumbing, electrician, all that stuff. Especially if you get the one that has the heater at the back, you're sitting pretty. Even if it has AC. If it has AC, you're really sitting pretty. All right, so let's go back to our list here. Talk about some things. Because we are now, don't screw it up. There we go. All right, so we're on to the merchandise now. So I wouldn't have brought this forward if you guys don't want it. And there's been a lot of guys asking about the merchandise. So again, this is the old shirt that we had. We've had this guy for a long, long time. It hasn't been available to purchase. It's basically just my very, very first iteration on a t-shirt. Could it be done? Yes. So going forward, and the reason why I said earlier on, I was going to throw the guys in the United States a bone here. That's because the t-shirt company that I ended up going with is called Spring. And in Canada, we have like Teespring and stuff. But the way that the Canadian border works in import and export, we tax the living daylight out of everything. And it really, really sucks. But you guys down in the States, you usually have lower 48 shipping, free shipping on packages like, I don't know, $20 or more or something like that. It's really awesome. We don't have that here. So what I ended up doing for you guys, because most of our subscriber base is there, us Canadians, we're going to take the hit, unfortunately, pay the extra bit, because the company that I went with is American based. So unfortunately for us Canadians, when we buy from them, we're going to have to pay the import tax to bring it in. So even for me, I bought 2 samples, and the reason I'm going to show you guys the online version, but they're not live right now, because I don't want to sell you guys something if the quality's not there. And I've never used the Spring Company, but that's what DD Speed Shop, Zip Ties and Bias Plies, all of them use. So it must be good for them. So we're going to try it first, but I'm not going to make anything live, and I'm not going to make them available for purchase until I get my hands on the physical shirts and the hat. That's what we're going with. It's just a basic t-shirt and a hat. That's what I had time to scrutinize over a couple days and get some logos and stuff going for you guys. But, oh geez, the laptop's shutting off. There we go. Okay, that's all good. So that's how that's going. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip you guys around. I'm going to show you how things are on this. But here, let me take this. So right here, this is the hat. So this is in Canadian, by the way. It's not the right price yet. I can adjust the price, but that's kind of what I mean. We take the hit here in Canada because it's a lot cheaper in the States for you guys. But either way, it's a black hat. It has the golden Hi-Ho Stable Garage logo on it. It's an any size fits all hat. So that's what that one is. And then the t-shirt, again, this is in Canadian dollars. It's basically like Mexican pesos. It's bad. That's what we have here. It's the Hi-Ho Stable Garage on the front. It's the gray logo. And then on the back, it says Hi-Ho Stable Garage on the back. This t-shirt, there's more colors that I can put on, but it never really looked well with the logos that are there. So we only come in white, light gray, black, and dark gray. And then as for the hat, again, it's not the right price yet, but this one right here is black only with a golden Hi-Ho Stable Garage logo. So let me flip you guys around again. If the price is higher, will it support me more? Yes, it will support me more, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. I'm not going to nickel and dime you guys on everything, because I'm only doing the merchandise because you guys wanted it. Otherwise, again, it's just a hobby, me playing around in the barn and stuff, and I'm taking you guys for the ride. I don't expect anything from you guys. So I don't want to reach my hand out for money, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to give it to you guys almost near at cost. I think I only make like $1.50 per shirt. It's not a lot. So I'm trying to give you guys as low as I can. So American pricing is obviously going to be a lot lower. I think it came out to be like $24 or $25, or it might even be lower than that. I would have to look. But it comes out to be a lot cheaper for you guys down in the States, and then it's likely free shipping. Here in Canada, we take the hit on the shirt, and we take the hit on the pricing and the import tax. So you're seeing my Canadian pricing right now. Rough go. But either way, take that with a grain of salt. The shirt and the hat, as long as the samples, when they come in, they're good, then I'll go live with the shirt and stuff, but I'll likely modify a few things just to see if I can get them a little cheaper for you guys, or work around and see if I can get more colors, because it doesn't cost me anything to add more colors to the inventory, but the logos don't really look well on certain colors. So for right now, just to simplify things, it's just basically grays and blacks and whites and the black hat. But that's what we're going for. Whenever I get the solid copies, I'll let you guys know on how things are going, and then I'll likely do another live stream with the merchandise up, and then you guys can do whatever you want from there. But until I get the solid copies, I'm not going to release it just in case it's a bad design, it's a bad copy. It's my very first design, so if it ends up looking like trash, I can modify it before it goes out for your guys' use. So that shirt and that hat, I think, come in 1st of March, late or early March, before March 10th. It should be around there. Again, I ordered them a couple weeks ago, but I didn't know we were going to be this far ahead, so I don't have them for this live stream. I wish I would have, but either way, that's how it's going. All right, so let me see if you guys have any other comments right now. Whoa, okay, yeah, you sure do. When the merch is available, I will definitely want to buy some. I appreciate it, Ricky. When the merch is available, you'll be one of the first ones to know, because you usually see most of the shorts and most of the long format videos anyway. So pretty much I'll announce it there and we'll have another live stream, that kind of stuff. But again, I'm not going to release them until I can physically get my hands on one and it comes in. Again, 1st of March roughly is when I should get my copies, and then I can kind of make the decision, and then it should only be a couple of days after that, and it should go live, allegedly. All right. Merch looks great. I appreciate it, Thomas. I'm not the most technologically savvy guy. That's why we're using a laptop here on the live stream and the phone here. I'm sure you could combine the two. I don't know how. So we're not the most technologically savvy, so it's the best that I can come up with right now with the logos that we have and everything. But I plan on doing a redesign. Obviously, if they don't pan out, then I'll redesign the logos and stuff so it looks a lot better. But I plan on doing a redesign down the road anyway. All right. Is the hat a trucker style hat? Yes, the hat is a trucker style hat. So it's basically an any size fits all. I think it has a snap back on the back. Might be one of those elastic backs. Hold on, let me see. I should be able to bring it up again. Yes. Okay. So the hat is a snapback. I'll show you. There we go. See? It's a snapback. So it's an any size fits all type style trucker hat. Again, the beauty of this company, I can put it on sweaters and a whole bunch of stuff down the road. But right now, just for simplicity's sake, we're going with a nice little trucker hat and just a basic t-shirt. If you guys want certain things, I can add them, but the logo might not work on certain merchandise, because you can even do like mugs and bags and a whole bunch of stuff on this, but we're going to keep it nice and simple for the very first iteration anyway. Nice and simple. All right. Yeah, no, it is pretty awesome. I think it's going to pan out pretty well. All right, so now that merchandise is out of the way, roadmap for the 2023 main videos of the International. Okay, so there's quite a lot of sheet metal work that still has to be done to this. I guess I overestimated that when we originally had the timeline of the end of December. I don't know where I got that in my head. It must have just been tack welds, I would say. The finish welding takes a lot of time, but we still have, I'm going to run down the list real quick, and then I have a couple breakdown points that we can go over with on each thing. So we still have to do, for sheet metal only, I'm not counting mechanical, brakes, tires, all that stuff. I'm not counting any of that, wiring, none of that. We still have the tailgate. We still have the cab corners. We still have the front end to finish. We have the hood, the hole at the top for where the throttle body is and stuff. We have to modify that. So basically, we had to cut it, but it has to be raised up and everything. We still have to work on that. We have to build the trailer hitch. We have to build the roll pan. The steering wheel has to be moved up slightly. We have to make the seat brackets so that we can bolt the seats in. Not a big job. But we have to do the passenger door like we did on the driver's door early on. We have to build mirrors. We have to build a visor, maybe. I'll show you guys what I'm kind of thinking about. I have a picture here. We have to build the middle running boards, the rear running boards, and rear light brackets. That's all the sheet metal work. Obviously, that's still quite a lot at the end of the day. But the beauty of it is, for each one that we knock off, eventually it will go down to zero, and then it's just mechanical and paint. And, mechanical paint, electric, windows. That should be it. We shouldn't have to break out the welder for the first year after that. Anyway, allegedly. But anyway, I have a couple photos, not of the tailgate, not of the cab corners, not of the front end, not of the hood hole. The roll pan, yeah, I think I have a couple pictures of the roll pan. Hold on. What's this one? Side profile. Let me bring that up. Okay. Enhance. How do I enhance? Just hold on. Bear with me for a second. There we go. Okay. Let me flip you guys around. So there you go. This is a side profile of an international pickup. It's basically, could be an L110, L122, L120. I'm not quite sure. But either way, it's a nice 10-footer box. It's pretty nice, eh? But I brought this photo up because it shows the international hubcaps that I want to get. Those things are going to look sick. They're going to go on our tires. But also here, if you notice here, we have a visor. That's the type of visor that I kind of want to build down the line. So let me close this. How do I close it? Yeah, that. Oh, geez. Okay, so I got another picture of the visor here. There we go. That. There we go. So you see how it kind of like has a little hinge, then it goes up and all this? We would have to build this visor completely, but the cab has the holes already on it. So it's not like we're reinventing the wheel completely, but it's going to have to be basically like the tailgate at the end of the day. Build the entire thing ourselves and then go with it, because they have aftermarket ones, but they don't look the way that I want for this old truck. I would rather have a more original style visor at the end of the day. And the only way I can afford to do it is if I build the thing. Now we have another one here. Okay, running boards. There we go. So this is the running board style for the 1954 International. As you can see, oh, I can't go that close. It's not going to focus. But see how it kind of like tucks up into the door, and it joins at the back of the rear fender. And then we have it cut right here, right? We have to extend this piece right here, bring that out. And then that's done already. A couple guys were wondering why I took the spare tire piece out. When we did the long bed, the short bed conversion, and we cut right here and shortened the whole guy, this tire right here, if my finger was the tire, because we have the bigger tire size, it would never fit between the fender and the rear of the cab. We would have had to modify the rear of the cab, so that's why we deleted it. Either way, but that's how the running boards are going to kind of look. They're going to kind of snake up onto the bed side, connect to both fenders. That's how the running boards are going to be. And also at the back, I couldn't find a photo, but right here, they had an optional small little running board that went from this back fender to the back of the cab. We're going to add that ourselves as well. Let me close this up somehow. Why is this not working? Oh, okay, that works. All right, so here's the roll pan. I couldn't find a roll pan for a 1954 International or a 1950s International, but here's a Ford, I believe. Yeah, an old Ford. Do you see how they have these little slits? On the 96 F-150, our license plate would be where the little slits are, kind of right there. That's where we put our license plate. I think on this truck, we're going to do a side license plate on it as well. We might do an inner. It's hard to say, but it's one of the things coming up pretty soon. But it has these rear vents, almost like a rear diffuser. So that's kind of neat. I don't know if we're going to go with something like that, but it's more of a different idea than what we have on the 96 F-150. And then this one's cool. This is the mirrors that I want to build. So I like the old truck mirrors. I can do the little stick mirrors. Those are really easy to build. But I already kind of have a mirror like that, but I don't have the frame. But from what I can understand, it's mainly just tube right there. And I can bend that around. So again, you got to picture our truck, right? It's a lowered four-wheel drive, extra wide. I think extra wide mirrors will look really good on our truck. Old truck mirrors on the lower truck. I think that's going to look really good, but we're going to have to build these guys because again, the cost for these items is quite high. So all that stuff we're going to have to build ourselves. There. All right. So that's the photo. Let me put you here so I can close that laptop piece. There we go. All right. Let me bring up my notes again. But yeah, that's the idea for the body panels going forward. Obviously, we still have a huge list to go through, but at least that gives you an idea of what I have in my head for the components. Obviously, there's a little bit of wiggle room on how we build these things because we're building them from scratch at the end of the day, but the whole truck is very much inspired and we're trying to keep it as close to a 51 as possible with some artisan, tasteful modifications along the way. Also cost reasons. If there's something really expensive that I can build for a little bit cheaper, if I change just a small amount of it, we're likely going to go that route. That's just how things are at the end of the day. All right, so let me go back to the comments. But that's pretty much wrapped it up on my list. It was a little bit of a longer list, to tell you the honest truth. But let's just see if you guys have any questions here. Oh, yeah, you got a few. All right. All right. So for Joshua, you're talking about foreigners entering the country. I'm going to keep politics. See, when it comes to the government and all that stuff, I'm going to try to keep politics out of the channel as much as I can going forward, just because we don't want to ruffle up any tail feathers. And especially even if my views align with majority or minority, whatever, YouTube has a certain stance on a lot of things, and you can only talk about certain things on the platform, let's say. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We're going to try to keep politics and all that stuff out. But one thing I won't tolerate on anything is basically racism, all that stuff. So here, I don't want the channel to ever become a racist type thing, if you know what I mean. So when it comes down to all that stuff, we're always going to be invited to everyone. We're just going to leave it at that. All right. The International reminds me of my grandfather's truck. He started a construction business with us early in 1950s. I was thinking it was 1950 Chevy. I'd love to have a truck like that someday. Oh yeah, those you can't, anything 50s, you can't beat them. They look some sick, especially if they have, like, I like them all. I like rat rod paint jobs. I like, obviously we got a rat rod type rough looking truck out there, but I also like high shine gloss and lots of chrome and no chrome, and I like them all. You can't go wrong with a 50s truck. It's just always awesome. So yeah, you can't go wrong. I don't blame you for wanting one. Yeah, Ricky, you're right. We all bleed red at the end of the day. We're all pink inside. That's kind of how it goes. Either way, so that's what I got going on right now. That's what I wanted to talk about. Again, I appreciate the big support that we've had on this YouTube channel so far, and I hope I can keep giving out the content that you guys want to see moving forward. So if there's nothing else on this, I give you guys good night. I appreciate all your support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. We'll do another live stream when the merchandise goes live again, likely early March. If there's something else that we have to bring live into, then we will. But as for the time being, that's the next one scheduled. I'll catch you guys on the next one really, really soon. Hey, see ya.